I'm Nicole Burley. It is Wednesday, September 22nd. This is News Nation Rush Hour. We'll have those top stories in just a moment. We do have News Nation reporters spread all across the country. Tonight, we are also following gun violence impacting kids across America. A high school student shot and killed while waiting for the bus today. That happened in Kentucky. It's just one of several school shootings reported in less than a week. Amid a growing push to ramp up vaccinations around the country, a North Carolina hospital system suspending hundreds of employees who refuse to get the shot and warning them that their jobs could be in jeopardy. Meantime, a story you have to see to believe. It's out of California. A woman's car towed away from her home because it was parked in front of a fire hydrant, but she insists she didn't park it there, and surveillance footage backs up her claim. So who moved the car and why did they do it? But we begin tonight in Texas with the latest from the border. The Biden administration facing bipartisan backlash over the recent influx of migrants streaming across the border. Democrats condemning the images of Border Patrol agents on horseback aggressively dispersing crowds, even using whips, while Republicans, meantime, accuse the administration of indiscriminately releasing migrants into communities across America. News 18 White House correspondent Allison Harris is live tonight in D.C. So, Allison, how is the administration responding?
Well, Nicole, the administration is not answering questions about how many Haitians have been deported as the U.S. is ramping up those deportation flights from Texas back to Haiti. They're also not sharing how many of the thousands of Haitians are being allowed to stay here in the United States. The White House is continuing to decry those images that we've seen of Border Patrol agents on horseback being aggressive with families who are from Haiti. The president saying the violence is not justified. His press secretary today calling their actions horrific and inhumane. DHS Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas has been on Capitol Hill. He has been telling lawmakers about the investigation that is underway. That's expected to be completed next week. The agents that are caught on camera are now on administrative leave. They're not allowed near any of those migrants, but the White House is maintaining a Trump-era policy to deal with this influx of thousands of migrants. It is a public health law known as Title 42. It allows the U.S. to take migrants into custody and fly them back to their very troubled Caribbean country, denying them the chance to seek asylum. The treatment of these Haitians is enraging the NAACP and members of the Congressional Black Caucus who met with President Biden today, as well as some lawmakers on Capitol Hill who are calling for a halt to flights taking Haitians from Texas back to Haiti.
And I'm not just unhappy with the cowboys who were running down Haitians and using their reins to whip them. I'm happy with the administration. We are following the Trump policy.
Title 42 is not an immigration policy. It is a health authority. The situation at the border is the result of a broken system.
The investigation into those border agents and their actions will determine whether they were, in fact, carrying whips or whether those were the reins to control their horses. Tomorrow, Reverend Al Sharpton and other civil rights leaders are going to travel down to Del Rio, Texas, to see this firsthand. Nicole?
All right, Allison, thank you for that. We do have a couple of big stories to tell you about tonight. Brian Enton live in Florida as the search expands for Brian Laundrie. Joe Khalil breaking down what the country's top intelligence experts see as the biggest threats to Homeland Security. But right now, let's stick with the border. Christina Aguayo from our El Paso station, KTSM, joining us live now. So, Christina, how are people in and around the Del Rio area dealing with that influx of migrants?
Well, Nicole, I guess the best way to answer that question is that they're taking it day by day. I've spoken to many locals, business owners, and ranchers who all tell me that they are facing some challenges with the massive influx of migrants that have showed up right here at the International Bridge in Del Rio. And I want to talk about that more a little bit later. But first, I want to get to that Border Patrol agent on the horseback with the video with blocking the migrant coming into the camp that has gone viral, sparking reaction from the White House to nationwide. And it's a hot topic here in Del Rio, too. My investigation on the ground, I found, and I spoke with ranchers, and if you take a look at what I have in my hands here, these are called split reins. This is what the ranchers are showing me. And these reins are different than regular reins because they split into two parts, and this is what helps the Border Patrol agent control that horse. They can do it with both sides of the rein and control the horse. Now, the rancher I spoke with told me that the Border Patrol agent was holding reins like this, and they also use the tail end of these reins to hit the back of the horse on the right side or hit the back of the horse on the left side, and this helps maneuver the horse from side to side. That rancher told me that he does not believe that the Border Patrol agent was trying to whip the migrant, rather he was trying to control his horse. That rancher, who is a sixth-generation rancher, also told me he has a friend in Border Patrol who works for Border Patrol who used to work for the Horse Patrol unit and still talks to those people. They said that the only reason that the Border Patrol agent came into any type of an interaction with that migrant is because the migrant allegedly tried to grab the rein or the bit of the horse, and that's the only reason. It would have caused a very dangerous situation for that Border Patrol agent, and he could have been seriously injured. Now, I spoke with some business owners about the interactions they've had with migrants, also some ranchers who said some of these migrants are breaking down doors, busting out windows, and they are a little bit concerned about the migrants in the area. As for the situation right now, the numbers right here about 200 yards away from the migrant camp, they sit at about 5,300 as of about 3 o'clock this afternoon. That number dwindled down from about 6,700 this morning. This is a very active scene. We have seen law enforcement officials from every different agency here, Department of Homeland Security, Border Patrol, CBP, buses coming in and out of here all day long, and they're transporting those migrants to different processing areas along the border. So we are very active here in Del Rio. We're going to keep track of the situation and continue to talk to both the local community, ranchers, and business owners about what they're facing here. Reporting live from Del Rio, Christina Aguayo. Nicole?
All right, well, there we have at least an answer about the reins. All right, Christina, thank you so much for that. All right, let's turn now to D.C., where the U.S.-Mexico border was one of several topics in a congressional hearing today, analyzing the biggest threats to our homeland security. NewsNation correspondent Joe Khalil live for us tonight in D.C. So, Joe, we know that Homeland Security Secretary, FBI Director are among those testifying today. So what do they see as our biggest threats?
Well, it's a wide range of things, Nicole. And, certainly the situation in Afghanistan has prompted more questions about threats to the homeland and about the state of terrorism. But it's clear in the past 20 years or so that threats have evolved now to the homeland. It's not simply coming from terrorists overseas. It's a number of different threats, both from outside and from within.
Are we safer now than we were on 9/11?
That question was top of mind on Capitol Hill today, as some of the nation's top security experts testified about the most serious threats facing the U.S. homeland.
My own concern is ISIS-K. Will it become more focused on the West, more focused on the homeland than it was previously?
20 years after 9/11, there is concern the collapse of the Afghan government could foster a rebirth of a terrorist network like ISIS. But perhaps a more immediate threat, according to FBI Director Christopher Wray, domestic terrorism.
We have seen those kinds of domestic violent extremists responsible for the most lethal activity over recent years.
Wray also says today much of the FBI's work deals with cyber threats to the homeland and an ever more aggressive China.
Protecting our nation's innovation, we're opening a new China counterintelligence investigation every 12 hours. And every day, we receive thousands of tips.
And as you mentioned, Nicole, the southern border was also discussed, as was climate change, talking about some of the recent storms and wildfires, actual threats to human life here in the United States. All of those are among things that the different agencies worried about safety and homeland security here that they are certainly have as top of mind. Nicole?
Absolutely. Many things to stay vigilant about. All right, Joe, thank you for that. All right, let's give you to the latest now on the Gabby Petito case. The search expanding tonight for her fiancé, Brian Laundrie. NewsNation correspondent Brian Inton is live for us tonight. Brian, you were at the scene of that search in Sarasota County. So are there any clues tonight on where Brian could be?
No new clues right now, Nicole, and no sign of Brian. At least that's the latest that police are telling us. This is a massive wildlife reserve, 24,000 acres. It goes on and on and on. It's pretty miserable out here, Nicole. It's hot and swampy, and I've been saying it for days. We've seen alligators and snakes, and it's really a risky situation for law enforcement. But take a look at this. This is new today. We haven't seen this happen out here until this morning. Dive teams showed up this morning with diving equipment so that they could go into the lakes here inside the wildlife reserve. Is there reason to believe there's some kind of evidence or that Brian Laundrie is in a lake? We asked Northport Police that this morning. They said this is routine, this is just part of the search, but they emphasized that they're going to continue searching every single acre of this 24,000 acre preserve. There were some false alarms today. There was a suicide about a mile from here at first. Many people speculated, is this connected to the case? Police said no, it is not. There was also that picture taken from a wildlife camera north of where we are in Florida. A lot of people thought that looked like Brian Laundrie. The sheriff today confirmed they do not believe that is Brian Laundrie. But Nicole, this search very much still underway, and we expect it will continue until sundown.
Well, Ryan, so many people interested in this case. So, what happened today between the attorneys for the families, because there was an accusation that Laundrie's attorney was posting photos of Gabby.
Yeah, this was pretty dramatic. Gabby Petito's family attorney put out this statement this morning making an accusation that the Laundrie family attorney had posted a photo of Gabby on his Yelp account and also possibly on social media. People became very upset when they heard this. Gabby Petito's attorney made that accusation this morning, said you have until 2 o'clock to take the photos down. Yelp took the photos down on their own, and later the Laundrie attorney said that he never posted any photos. Nicole?
Well, so many questions surrounding this still. All right, Brian, thank you for that. And we do have a quick note for our viewers. You can find all of Brian's reporting and our other special coverage at newsnationnow.com/Gabby. All right, we do want to get to a senseless act of violence. It happened at a Louisville bus stop today. 3 teens shot, 1 killed in a drive-by. All happened as they waited for the school bus. News Nation's Rudabeh Shabazi joining us now. So, Rudabeh, this is really just one of the acts of violence involving school-age kids within just a few days.
Yeah, Nicole, this week alone, school kids were shot in Wichita, Newport News, Chicago, and today, a drive-by shooting at a Louisville school bus stop, as you mentioned. The superintendent calling it one of our toughest days at Jefferson County Public Schools after another devastating loss to senseless gun violence.
No community should have to live in fear that their children could be victimized while waiting on a school bus.
A 16-year-old student is dead and another hospitalized after a drive-by shooting at a school bus stop at 6:30 in the morning. A third child was also injured as they waited for the bus near downtown Louisville. Authorities put out a photo of the Jeep and said the shooting could be gang-related, but they do not believe the victim was involved in a gang.
It was a 16-year-old student waiting at a bus stop, a school bus stop. What should be a sacred space in our community, a safe space where there should be every expectation of safety and security.
In Virginia, students are now being checked for weapons when they get off the bus. Students marked the start of their second week of classes with a shooting. 2 17-year-old students were shot at Heritage High School in Newport News, one in the face, the other in the leg. Police say a teenage boy was taken into custody several hours after the shooting. Everyone is expected to survive, but other students were hurt in the melee as well, including one with respiratory issues and another who sustained a broken arm while being evacuated.
We thank God that no one passed. Even the shooter, we're thankful that he didn't lose his life. But we just hope that this is the first and last time that this happens, at this school or any school.
Yesterday on Chicago's South Side, 15-year-old football player Jamari Williams was shot and killed at a shopping center near his high school about 20 minutes after school let out. Pastor Donovan Price says Williams lost his father to gun violence within the last year.
He was a kid who hoped to move his mother out of the hood through football. Had lots of dreams. All they could talk about was his dreams.
Sadly, like so many others at that high school, those dreams cut short by gun violence in Chicago.
I've lost multiple classmates every year, and it's just heartbreaking that we're only 4 weeks in school and another student is gone.
In Wichita, Kansas, kids shooting kids. Police say a 17-year-old and two 16-year-olds were shot by another teenager near school, but survived. This time, police say they caught the shooter thanks to help from the public.
And in Kentucky yesterday, Fayette County school officials took the unusual step of simultaneously evacuating 4 of Lexington's 6 high schools due to bomb threats and, according to police, a demand for a $500,000 ransom into a Bitcoin account.
Rudy, we hate to hear about those lives lost. Thank you for that. All right, let's turn to the pandemic now. A CDC advisory panel gathered today to debate which Americans should get a COVID booster shot and when. That meeting comes just days after an FDA advisory committee rejected a White House plan to provide booster shots to most Americans. The panel instead recommending a 3rd dose of the Pfizer vaccine for senior citizens and high-risk patients. The FDA is expected to soon decide on authorization for the Pfizer booster shot. All right, well, let's take a look now at the vaccination averages across the country. This is over the past 9 months. The red line is the 7-day moving average of vaccinations. And you can see we hit a peak of about 3.5 million. Now, that was per day in April, but that number tumbled into the summer, only rebounding a bit up through August, up over 800,000 a month ago. But fast forward to today, that number now below 500,000. So far, only about 55% of the country has received both doses. Close to 64% have received at least 1 dose. And with those numbers staying stagnant and more new variants popping up, employers are starting to crack down on the unvaccinated. NewsNation correspondent Janelle Ford is live for us tonight in Atlanta. So Janelle, what are some of those employers doing?
Well, Nicole, we're seeing this play out in hospital systems across the country. The latest at a healthcare provider in North Carolina. Novant Health suspended almost or nearly 1% of its workforce for not complying with its mandatory vaccination policy. Novant gave its workers up until September 15th to get at least 1 dose of the vaccine or to apply for and receive a medical or religious exemption. And nearly 400 workers didn't do either and now are facing being fired. The company says anyone who doesn't comply with the vaccine policy within the 5-day unpaid suspension period will lose their job. These workers spread across 15 hospitals and hundreds of clinics and outpatient facilities. And this isn't the only place where this is happening. In Texas, 153 employees at Houston Methodist either resigned or were let go for not meeting the vaccine requirement there. We saw the same thing happen in Indiana, where at least 125 part-time employees at Indiana University Health System lost their jobs for not getting the shots. And hospitals are having to make a tough decision here between being stretched even more thinly by going without unvaccinated healthcare workers or having more staff, but putting patients further at risk to virus exposure. And we could see this same dilemma play out across all sectors and in other healthcare places. President Biden announced vaccine rules for federal workers and large employers earlier this month, and also said he would require the nearly 20 million healthcare workers at facilities receiving funds from Medicare and Medicaid to be fully vaccinated. Now, by the way, there's also another mutation spreading. This one is being coined the R1 variant. Nicole, there was an outbreak in Kentucky at a nursing home there. 45 patients and staff members, many of them who were vaccinated, coming down with this variant. It is unclear if this variant is going to fizzle out or become the dominant variant like we saw with the Delta variant. But one thing that health experts have said is that we're going to see more mutations and we're going to see more variants of the COVID-19 virus.
Yep, that is a fact. We know we will certainly see more variants. All right, Janelle, thank you for that. All right, let's head to Illinois now. I'll give you a live look at Chicago, where Lake Michigan is experiencing dangerously high waves, and it's due to strong winds. Tonight, the city warning people to stay away from the lakefront. And News Nation's Patrick Elwood from our station WGN joining us live. So, Patrick, what's it like out there right now?
So it only happens a couple of times a year, and today just happens to be one of those days. Let's take a look to the north here. These beautiful undulating waves, but they are dangerous, and whitecaps as well. So as we turn this way and we take a look towards the city, more or less some of the same stuff, but even more dangerous there. Crashing over onto the concrete embankment. Now there is some regular folks out here, your joggers, your bikers, your walkers, but definitely some curiosity seekers too. Police and the Park District warning people don't get too close. Angry Lake today, gusty winds producing waves anywhere from 12 to 16 feet. In the city, all the way north to communities in Cook County. The Park District barricading some spots for cautionary purposes so far and warning of potential lane closures along the city's Lakeshore Drive throughout the day and into the evening. So that could be a mess for the commute. This year, 15 people, big picture here, have drowned in Lake Michigan during what would be normal weather conditions. And in years past, some people have been swept into the lake during similar weather like today. But even with conditions as they are, plenty of people are doing their thing out here. As I told you, just getting some exercise, but definitely some other folks coming out here and just checking it out, taking a lot of pictures and some video. All of this happening as it coincides with the first day of fall. Again, it only happens a couple of times a year, but people, the officials are warning, do not get too close to that water. Could definitely be a dangerous, potentially fatal mix. So that's the story here from Chicago, from News Nation. I'm Patrick Elwood. Nicole, back to you.
All right, Patrick, welcome to fall, apparently. Thank you for that. All right, still ahead tonight on News Nation Rush Hour. A judge deciding today whether the last man seen with Kristen Smart before her disappearance more than 2 decades ago can stand trial. What happened in court today? And a California woman who thought her car had been stolen learns it was actually towed because it was parked in front of a fire hydrant, but she insists she didn't park it there. And surveillance footage actually backs up her claim. So who moved it, how'd they do it, and why? All right, welcome back. Let's head to California, where a woman was left without her car. She walked outside, it was just gone. Well, turns out it was towed for a parking violation, but it's a violation she claims she didn't commit. And this surveillance video, well, it actually backs up her claim. Footage shows a complete stranger getting into the car and moving it, leaving it directly in front of a fire hydrant, and it was later towed. All of this happening without her knowing about it. News Nation's Jennifer McGraw from our Los Angeles station KTLA spoke to the car's owner about this unbelievable experience.
It was Saturday morning in North Hills when Alma Ordonez got a call from her son.
And he's all like, Mom, the car's not there. And I was like, what do you mean the car's not there? He goes, the car's not there. And I was like, okay, well, when your car's missing, you call the police.
So she did, and no, the car wasn't stolen. It was towed for parking in front of a fire hydrant.
That doesn't make any sense.
Not at first, but after looking at surveillance video, it's clear. Someone steered the unlocked car while another person pushed it from behind, right in front of the fire hydrant. A few hours later, the city came, ticketed and towed it away. But why was the car moved in the first place? You see, the semi-truck needed to make a tight turn into the home across the street. Alma was floored, saying this is the second time this has happened. Here's the first time 2 years ago.
They chained the Honda Civic to their truck and pulled the Honda Civic around the corner.
And there it is, a semi-truck in the street, which appears to be parking. Alma says these tows weren't cheap.
2 years ago, I think he paid like $350. I paid $400. It was like $398. And I would consider that stealing, right? When somebody gets in your car and moves it. But the LAPD said, no, it's just somebody moving your car without your consent.
So we asked the neighbor if he had moved the car to park a semi in his driveway.
I don't know nothing about those cars outside the trees.
My photographer and I showed him the surveillance video.
Is there a problem getting your trailer in here?
Yes, every time.
Because of all the cars?
All the cars, the one they park in the street, but I don't know nothing about the people parking the cars in the street.
For now, it's under investigation, and Alma is out $400 and can't believe this has happened once again.
You can't just move people's cars. And this is LA, parking issues everywhere. I mean, if you can do that, you imagine the city, everybody just moving people's cars to park?
Jennifer McGraw, News Nation.
Wow. All right, we'll still ahead tonight on News Nation Rush Hour. A new twist in the ongoing sex crimes trial of singer R. Kelly. Why the R&B star will not testify in his own defense. Plus, Wall Street bouncing back after Monday's massive drop. How social media sleuths are using Washington lawmakers and the stock market to earn a quick buck. Welcome back to News Nation Rush Hour. I'm Nicole Burley. Here's what's happening right now in your nation. Congressional police reform talks have fallen apart after months of bipartisan negotiations. New Jersey Senator Cory Booker says even with law enforcement support, lawmakers faced significant obstacles to secure a bipartisan deal. Booker says he will continue exploring all other options. The White House facing bipartisan backlash tonight over the growing number of migrants in the Texas border town of Del Rio. Democrats condemning the images of aggressive Border Patrol agents on horseback chasing families from Haiti, while Republicans accuse the administration of indiscriminately releasing migrants into U.S. communities. Members of the Congressional Black Caucus met with President Biden today, calling for a halt to flights taking migrants back to Haiti. Some of the nation's top security experts testified today about the most serious threats facing the U.S. 20 years after 9/11. There's concern about the collapse of the Afghan government and the possibility of a new terrorist group forming. But FBI Director Chris Wray says the more immediate threat right now is domestic terrorism, adding much of the FBI's work deals with cyber threats to the U.S. The search for Gabby Petito's fiance, Brian Laundrie, continues in Florida, with authorities disputing reports that he's been taken into custody. Divers have been called in to help search the 24,000-acre Carlton Reserve, where Laundrie was reportedly last seen. Drones and helicopters are also being used to survey that area. Closing arguments began this afternoon in the sex trafficking trial against R&B star R. Kelly. Kelly did not take the stand to testify in his own defense. News Nation's Ayana Harry from our New York City station WPIX has been following this trial from the very beginning. She joins us now. So, Ayana, tell us what happened in court today.
Nicole, good evening. Prosecutors are insisting that this case is all about how R. Kelly used his inner circle of assistants and drivers to commit sex crimes. They're also trying to convince the jury that in addition to being an R&B superstar, R. Kelly ran a criminal organization.
They're going to have to explain to this jury, break it down in layman terms, how R. Kelly was the kingpin of this enterprise.
He used his money and his public persona to hide his crimes in plain sight. During their closing argument, federal prosecutors said R. Kelly was the head of a criminal enterprise that recruited girls, boys, and young women for sex, saying the singer relied on his inner circle of assistants and bodyguards to carry out his pattern of crimes, and he used his henchmen to lodge threats. R. Kelly is accused of racketeering, a charge typically used to take down mob bosses.
I think that's one of the toughest hurdles that the prosecution has, is proving that this is an enterprise as opposed to this is an artist who sings.
Assistant U.S. Attorney Elizabeth Geddes reminded the jury of some of the graphic testimony they heard over the past month. The accusers who said they were just teenagers when they first had sexual contact with R. Kelly. The girl who recalled walking in on R. Kelly performing oral sex on Aaliyah when Aaliyah was in her early teens, and the strict rules they claimed R. Kelly enforced for his girlfriends.
They asked for permission from the person that was guarding them or the person that could get in contact with R. Kelly so they can have permission to eat, to go to the bathroom, to exit the room.
R. Kelly is also charged with multiple violations of the Mann Act. Legal analyst Bernarda Villalona explains.
The Mann Act is taking these ladies out through interstate commerce for the purpose of engaging in prostitution or some immoral purpose.
The government's lawyers insist, quote, for many years what happened in the defendant's world stayed in the defendant's world, but no longer.
Tomorrow, the jury will hear the closing argument from the defense. From the very beginning of this case, the defense has insisted the accusers taking the stand are simply R. Kelly's ex-girlfriends who are now scorned. R. Kelly told the judge today he will not testify in his own defense. He pleaded not guilty to all of the charges in this case. Reporting live from the federal courthouse in downtown Brooklyn, Ayana Harry, back to you, Nicole.
All right, he will not testify. Ayana, thank you for that. The prime suspect and his father in the decades-old disappearance of Kristen Smart are headed to trial. News Nation's Nancy Liu has been watching this case for us, joining us live from Los Angeles. So, Nancy, Smart disappeared 25 years ago. Why are we seeing movement on this now?
Well, Nicole, a judge has been weighing whether it should go to trial, and his decision today is one the Smart family has been waiting decades for. According to the judge's ruling, there is probable cause that Paul Flores killed the college student in the 90s and that his father helped dispose of her body.
25 years after Kristen Smart went missing, police arrested 44-year-old Paul Flores outside his Southern California home in April of this year. The former Cal Poly student has long been a prime suspect.
Kristen was last seen with Paul Flores, also a 19-year-old freshman that walked her home from the party.
Flores eventually stopped cooperating with the investigation, and Kristen Smart was never heard from again since that night in 1996. Today's trial decision followed a lengthy preliminary hearing in which prosecutors presented a flood of forensic and physical evidence. They alleged that Flores murdered Smart in his dorm room and then buried her body under a deck at his father's house. Prosecutors say Flores then moved her remains, which have yet to be found. 80-year-old Ruben Flores is charged as an accomplice, and both men have pleaded not guilty. But some speculate there could be pre-trial family drama.
Will father testify against son? Father could be going to prison for 3 years for this case. Is he going to do that, or is he going to turn state's evidence? And I'm sure that is still on the table for the DA's office.
Former DA Stephen Clark says prosecutors have their work cut out since there is no body. He believes the trial could boil down to a battle between forensic experts.
But there's a long way to go and a lot of dots left to be connected for the DA's office to get a conviction, particularly since this is a pure circumstantial evidence case.
Now, the trial dates have not yet been set. Defense attorneys claim prosecutors do not have enough evidence to support the criminal charges or prove anything beyond a reasonable doubt at trial. Nicole?
All right, definitely keeping an eye on this one. Nancy, thank you. The sale ahead tonight, a new trend for young investors hoping to make a quick buck in the stock market, how they're combining TikTok and members of Congress to secure stock tips. And Britney Spears fans, you are about to get another eye-opening look into her life. We have your first look into the pop icon's new Netflix documentary and find out when her conservatorship could end. Today, the Fed signaling it could start raising interest rates sometime next year. Analysts say that's a sign the central bank is encouraged by the economic recovery from the pandemic recession. And that announcement sending stocks higher on Wall Street, a positive sign after a tumultuous few days for the markets. And this all coming as some investors are utilizing a new strategy, looking to members of Congress for stock tips. NewsNation correspondent Tom Negovin joining us live tonight in New York City. So, Tom, TikTokers are copying lawmakers. Is that right?
TikTokers now, yeah, stalking their stock picks. Basically, Nicole, is that a good idea? It depends on who you're talking to, but the short answer is no, absolutely not. And we'll tell you why. If you want to follow the best possible advice, do your homework, do your own research, talk to a financial services professional, right? But if you don't want to do any of that, there's a company called Iris that has a game-changing stock app. Lets you look at the stock picks of certain other people, and a lot of people on TikTok are using Iris to look at what their members of Congress are trading, because by law they have to report that. The Stock Act says lawmakers have to disclose their trades and those of their spouses within 45 days. And guess what? House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's husband, Paul, is an investor, a big one. So a lot of folks following her moves as she discloses them, they say it's really been working out for them. In fact, one Iris user calls Pelosi the market's, quote, biggest whale. Interest in this, in congressional stock picks, kind of grew a lot at the outset of the pandemic when multiple sources told us that lawmakers were selling stock just before the market crashed because of the pandemic. We talked to the company's co-founder today, to Iris's co-founder. He says the philosophy they have, if you can't beat them, join them. The app is designed to be educational, level the playing field. I mentioned there was an important reason why it's not a good idea, Nicole, and here's what it is for anyone thinking of mirroring the trades of
politicians, Nancy Pelosi or otherwise. There's been some research on this. We've looked into it. The most recent shows trains by lawmakers have actually underperformed the market. So I guess if you want to use Irish, you might want to use it to follow someone who's a better picker, statistically anyway, than your average member of Congress.
I would agree, Tom. You probably want to mimic the over performers there. All right, Tom, thank you for that. Let's still ahead tonight on News Nation Rush Hour. A new Netflix documentary promising to spill the tea on Britney Spears' life. We have your first look at the secrets being revealed. All right, time to talk some entertainment. Video of Nicole Richie's birthday celebration making the rounds on social media today. We can say it was a lit occasion. News Nation's Samantha Cortese from our Los Angeles station KTLA joining us live. So Samantha, we're kind of making light of it now, but this was very, very scary.
So scary. Everyone thought back to Michael Jackson, the Pepsi commercial, and of course the joke here is it's lit, which Nicole makes the joke as well. But if you check out the video she posted on Instagram, you really can't escape it on social media and in entertainment news today. She leans in to blow out the candles for her 40th birthday and whoop, awfully close to her face. Yeah, somebody tries to pat out the flames there. She leans back, lets out a little scream, but she made light of it on Instagram saying, well, so far 40 is lit. Her husband also got into the fun, commenting the naughties phrase, that's hot.
Definitely hot there. We'll have to see what her hair, great haircut there.
She's going to have to don a new do after that.
She's definitely going to have to don a new do after that one, Samantha. All right, we're going to move on now. She's an icon. She is a legend. Once again, Britney Spears making headlines in the wake of the #FreeBritney movement. So, Samantha, what is the big news about Britney?
Well, you take Britney Spears, already a huge conversation, add that to Netflix documentary, and you get this.
I just want my life back.
Speak out about anything that's really going on.
The Netflix trailer dropped a few hours ago, and quite the buzz around this project since then. When the streaming network tweeted this, it was only 18 seconds as a teaser, extremely short clip. It's a never-before-heard voicemail dating back 12 years ago. It implies Spears has been trying to end her conservatorship since 2009. The trailer is coming out just weeks after Britney's major breakthrough in her legal battle. Her father finally put in a petition to end that conservatorship. The documentary drops on Netflix next Tuesday. That is conveniently one day before Britney's next court hearing about ending the conservatorship.
Oh, yeah, there are going to be a lot of people watching that one, Samantha. Okay, and finally, we all know laughing can make a problem seem a little less intimidating, maybe make it a little bit more solvable, and that's the idea behind a new project involving some late-night comedians. So what are they coming together to raise awareness for?
Yes, they are all coming together to talk about climate change. Some of the biggest names in late night, network and cable coming together to discuss Climate Night for climate change. Each program will bring some humor while raising awareness on the topic. Comedians that are taking part include Jimmy Fallon, Seth Meyers, Stephen Colbert, James Corden, Samantha Bee, Jimmy Kimmel, and Trevor Noah. While a noble cause, I'm not going to be clicking away from News Nation anytime soon. Sorry.
Samantha, we love it. Thank you so much. It's a great lineup. Always great talking to you, Samantha. Thank you. News Nation Rush Hour continues now live from our headquarters here in Chicago. Here's what's happening in your nation right now. A rift between the U.S. and France over a multi-billion-dollar defense deal appears to be on the mend. President Biden and French President Emmanuel Macron have agreed to meet and discuss a submarine squabble that led France to temporarily recall its ambassador from Washington. The problem arose after Australia canceled a multi-billion-dollar contract to buy diesel-electric French submarines and instead acquire U.S. nuclear-powered vessels. Former President Trump suing his niece and the New York Times, accusing the newspaper of convincing Mary Trump to hand over confidential documents on the Trump family's wealth and taxes. The former president is seeking $100 million in damages. Mary Trump calls that lawsuit a sign of desperation. The New York Times says it will defend itself. And you could be in for a long wait when it comes to playing Fortnite on your iPhone or iPad. Today, Apple blacklisted the game from its App Store until all court appeals are exhausted, which could take years. The legal battle between parent company Epic Games and Apple started last year when Epic Games tried to circumvent Apple's 30% fee by creating its own in-app payment system. And an inmate from New York City's Rikers Island jail has died of a medical emergency. The death of Stephen Cadu is the second this week. It's the 12th this year. Advocates are calling it a humanitarian crisis. That city's jail system has struggled with years of neglect worsening during the pandemic, and calls are now growing to overhaul or even immediately close Rikers Island. The city says it will be shut down by 2027. And a hot air balloon pilot who crashed over the summer in New Mexico had marijuana and cocaine in his system. That's according to a new FAA report. The pilot and his 4 passengers all died after the balloon crashed into power lines in a busy intersection. The NTSB has not yet ruled on the cause of the crash. Civil rights icon Reverend Jesse Jackson out of the hospital after dealing with both a breakthrough COVID infection and complications from Parkinson's disease. Jackson and his wife Jacqueline were both hospitalized after contracting the virus in August. She was released a few weeks later. And as always, we like to leave you with a smile when we can. And tonight's comes courtesy of a National Park Ranger. Betty Reed Soskin turns 100 years old today. She is the oldest active ranger in the National Park Service. She's 100 years old. Listen to this. She started working with the NPS at the age of 84. She leads programs and shares personal stories about the efforts and sacrifices of women of color. She's a trailblazer. She's an icon, a role model. We do not have enough time to do justice to all of the lifetime accomplishments of Ranger Soskin. She's an amazing woman, but we do have time to wish her a very happy birthday. And that is all for News Nation Rush Hour. You can follow me on social media. Just search Nicole Burley on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Next up, the Dowlin Report. Later on Balance with Leland Vittert, the News Nation Prime, and Banfield. And remember, you can always check headlines at News Nation.